Good morning. Welcome to Community Voice. I'm your host, Keith Parris. I want to thank everybody for joining us this morning. Good morning, Keon. Good morning, Carvey. Good morning, Michelle, as she makes her exit. Wow. Some of you can't call us if you got AT&T. There has been a major not a power outage, but an outage in terms of the 5G and the network.
But it's more than just AT&T.
Yeah, but they're the biggest ones. I think Verizon, T-Mobile has, shows us how dependent we are. Yeah. And we were talking, and people who have like landlines and those electronic phones. I don't know if they still do those phones you plug directly in that don't have like.
We got one.
Do you?
Yeah. In fact, what's so funny?
For 19 what?
It is literally the phone that was in the house like in the 80s. Well, that's too far back. 90s. That's the little clear phone that you pick up the what was it called? Like the slim line, whatever that phone was. Princess line. Princess phone. And but the one because that's the thing when we were talking about a lot of our phones also have an electrical outlet component where you got to plug that base into for the cordless. And but so if you got one that's not cordless and it just plugs directly into the phone outlet, the phone jack, you good.
I got one of those other than you are.
You can order those. You can still buy those.
Man, that's real plastic and metal.
Like a princess, like a phone that only plugs directly into the phone jack. You don't need any electricity to run it.
They got them sitting up at Walgreens in a case like it's one of those, that little bitty hardware aisle. You can get them.
Yeah, I mean, they got to be out there, but the one we got is an original.
And this is something I hadn't even discovered until I got my own phone bill. Was back in the day, you basically rent the phone. You didn't own the phone. The phone was owned by, then it would have been AT&T.
What phone?
The phone in your house.
What you mean? What year was this?
You didn't buy the phone.
What are you talking about? We always bought our phone.
No, you didn't buy your phone.
Where your phone came from?
Phone came from AT&T. When you got your phone service, because you're a little girl, you got your phone service, they would come in and install a phone, look on the bill. And you would see on there, not that you own it, they're charging you to use their phone. As a matter of fact, when you discontinue the service, you have to send the phone back.
What year was this?
I'm just telling you.
That sounds crazy. I don't know anything
because you're so used to cell phones.
No. I'm used to landlines too. I grew up in a house with landlines.
Yeah, because most times
we own the phones.
You didn't own the phone.
We did own the phone.
You did not. You rented those phones.
Like
your cable box. You renting that cable box.
Yeah, you rent the cable box.
Oh, the cable box.
Yeah, you rent the cable box. It's the same thing with the phone.
Yeah.
And most people didn't know that until you look at your itemized
list.
We
had like different color phones. We had different style phones.
You did. You could get all of that. But let's say you want to replace that phone. You'd have to send that phone back.
No.
Yes, you would. Yes, you would.
Don't nobody rent cable boxes no more because it go directly in your TV and they charge you for the thing for the
Wi-Fi.
No, you got to have one box.
You got something.
We got Wi-Fi. We have wireless, but then we also have the main cable box.
Yeah, we got boxes in other rooms.
Where the cable's actually going through the box.
Oh, you talking about, okay.
Yeah.
Right. And I think I want to go back to cable. Direct cable as opposed to this
satellite stuff.
Yeah,
because the minute it snow,
wind blow hard enough. I mean, it's just
like
your. So I think we should go back to direct. Just put the cable in and go from there.
I mean, but good luck being able to do it. And like I do appreciate the ability to just be able to use internet and do everything.
There she is.
Go ahead and have your business.
She came back. Enjoy the book.
All right, thank you so much.
You're welcome. Good morning.
Good morning. Listen, I'm calling you from my
we saw that. You called from the landline. She got AT&T?
Yeah.
Well, she got through though. Then she must have did through the Wi-Fi. If you're going through 5G, you can't even use it.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And so I thought it was one of those things like, wow. And then, how about that? Which you're not on any committee that deal with our cybersecurity or anything like that.
No, that's energy and commerce. That.
I think they might be getting a briefing today. What do you think?
We're not in.
Oh, really?
No, we're off while the government is on the verge of being shut down.
Oh, that's right.
We don't. As soon as March 1st, there'll be some agencies that won't be funded,
Okay.
and then March 9th is the drop deadline for the total shutdown.
You know, I didn't realize this in terms of the discussion we had. I think the original is always close to a shutdown, right? And I didn't realize that Congress had made some adjustments in terms of making sure, for example, your veterans disability checks will still go out, right?
Yes.
Social Security checks will still go out. So I guess politically, because the last thing you want to do is a pensioner not getting their Social Security check. They're going to remember that come November.
Well, in fact, that's the whole point, because people think the word entitlement is a dirty word, but I don't think
I don't either.
Those people are entitled
Mm-hmm.
to those benefits, just like members of Congress will get their checks,
right?
Whether we shut down or not.
But then at the same time, the military don't, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
So this is very urgent. Well, while we're on that topic, I may as well just sort of give you the background on what is preventing us from moving forward, because we want to pass these bills to keep the government open, but of course, we have that rule that dispensed with Kevin McCarthy, that it only took one single member to call for vacating the chair, and that would automatically cause a vote to occur. And when they did that, of course, all the Democrats voted to vacate the chair, and there were enough Republicans to actually vacate the chair, and Kevin McCarthy lost his speakership. And so, Mr. Johnson, Mike Johnson from from Louisiana, is potentially in the crosshairs of the party, because he's already compromised to get these new dates. So what's happening now is that there's a resolution by Josh Gottheimer. He's one of the problem solvers that would require either the Democratic or Republican leadership to sanction any vote to vacate the speaker's chair. That would be, a changing of the rules to do that. He sent the proposal. This isn't something that's been circulated. This is just sort of, behind the scenes, reported by Axios. So, Johnson is really facing pressure from lawmakers in both parties to hold a vote on several of those bipartisan bills. But the problem is the bill that would fund Ukraine. Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene said that she would introduce the motion to vacate if Johnson puts Ukraine on the floor. And so I think that's the background.
So we have a possible government shutdown looming for March 1st. There is an issue now in terms of that bipartisan bill to deal with Ukraine, Israel, the border. The border has been taken out.
No,
right?
The border was taken out. Taiwan would be part of that, and also there would be a provision that would provide the secretary's certification to draw any money out of UNRWA. That's a humanitarian organization, was run basically by Palestinians, and they'd have to get secretary certification to make draws on it because of the accusations that they were part of the October 7th rebellion, that they aided and supported that. But there's also $2.6 billion to bolster U.S. and allied capabilities in the Indo-Pacific. submarine industrial base of for Australia and the United Kingdom partnership.
Are they? Are we looking? I don't know if I saw this. Are we looking to reestablish bases in the Philippines? Are you aware of that? Because that was
I'm not on the Foreign Affairs Committee, so I'm not aware
okay.
of that. But I'm looking here at an effort to bolster our capabilities in the Indo-Pacific and to deter China. But those are the Taiwanese provisions to 1.9 billion to replenish weapons in Taiwan. So it looks like we're trying to harden our position in that region.
We're in the Taiwan represents a very interesting quandary for U.S. and U.S. foreign policy. The Chinese believe that Taiwan is still part of China. And obviously, the Taiwanese do not think that they're part of these other descendants of Chiang Kai-shek, and so on that island. So, who do we have some type of mutual defense pact with Taiwan that if China decided to invade Taiwan, that then we would be in conflict with China?
Well, this is certainly not something that we want to happen. Please come in. This is certainly not something that we want to happen. Look at the cabinet right there. I'm sorry, I'm calling from home, so you know what that means. Yeah. I'm sorry. I don't know that we're treading this very lightly, and I'm not on the Foreign Affairs Committee. But we are acknowledging the one China policy, and so we do some things, very, indirectly. But this is a a a something that we don't want to brew into something that is not managed. And so right now we're not being provocative at all, I don't think, but we are in fact funding and hardening our position.
What at this point we were talking about the bill, and as it relates to immigration. There's reporting today that there could be some executive action done at the border. And this seems like a rather rhetorical question, but how toxic this is an election year. So how toxic it in terms of maybe Republicans not wanting to solve these problems? I know Trump has already said he killed that immigration portion of the bill, and I know he was hoping that the economy would go into the tank. How are you able to govern?
You really said it all there. The a lot of so-called progressives or liberal were really shocked at how far the president was saying he would be willing to go in order to deal with the border issue. The bill, just in shorthand, would provide that anytime more than 5,000 people cross the border, that the president, any president, not just this president, but future presidents, would have the authority to just shut the border down and not allow anybody in, whatever their request for asylum or parole would be. It would also really, really, really raise the bar on the conditions upon which people could claim asylum. It would sort of reinstitute the stay in Mexico policy. Heavy on enforcement, and really troubling part is that it wouldn't provide, really good protections for minors and minors only folk. It was a bill though that President Biden said, hey, if it got to his desk, he would sign it. I mean, this was gift wrapped with Republican elephants all over it. And they rejected it because Trump said, no, don't solve the border problem because that's my campaign issue. Now, how cynical can you be? I'll tell you, Keith, and I don't know how much time we have. I don't want to burn it all up on this, but I think it's important to let people know what happens on the inside. On the inside, I don't care what committee you're in, whether you're in the Foreign Affairs Committee or Ways and Means Committee or Judiciary Committee or Energy and Commerce Committee, no matter what Science Committee, no matter what committee you're in, you can rely on one person at least or two on that committee to burst into the midst of the questioning on the topic and bring up the border as if they're so concerned and it's a crisis. And so here they're offered this gift wrapped bill that meets a lot of their enforcement only criteria. And they turn it down because Trump says this is very frightening.
So is then the question then is there a border crisis?
Well, like I said, the border, yeah, there's a border crisis, but it's the gift that keeps on giving. The worse it gets, the better that this supports Trump's candidacy. People are worried about it. I went to a fundraiser in Chicago for our good friend Danny Davis, and it was on a Sunday afternoon, so all the church ladies were there. In their Sunday finest and their hats on, and they were very unhappy about the tent cities and so forth in Chicago. For one thing, it's inhospitable weather here in the Windy City, and taking up all of the space. They've got homeless problems in Chicago as well, and in New York, the Republicans with their PR campaign, sending busloads of people to Chicago and Martha's Vineyard, and have really made the point that the border crisis is everybody's problem. And of course, they impeached Mayorkas, unjustly, but it was sort of a cherry on top.
I guess. Well, we're up on a break. Can you?
But
well, no, we can go. No, we can continue. No, we can. I'm sorry, we can continue. Go on.
Yeah, I mean, the crisis is really a humanitarian one. Because it's not all gangsters and gang members and stuff. People are fleeing from conflict, from climate crisis. They're fleeing for their lives. And, currently people should be able to present themselves at the border. We do need more border judges and to be able to expedite these cases quickly.
And as my understanding, wasn't the Border Patrol Union in favor of that bipartisan bill?
Exactly.
That's what I thought. Okay, yeah. Well, and if anybody understands these guys, they as close to anybody. They, especially during the Trump administration, they're almost brown shirts. But yeah, I thought that was. So then, how do you tell the American public there is a crisis, and then anytime you do want to do a fix, we don't want to fix it?
Exactly. I mean, their bluff has been really called. It really has been. The bluff has definitely been called, and I just want people to not go for the okie doke. I tell you, the struggle for power takes on many, many forms, and people have to make sure that they are not getting used. And I'll talk about that more if you want me to. That they don't get themselves exploited. The GOP is doing everything they can to break up the coalition that elected Joe Biden. And even this conflict in Israel, is an opportunity to suppress the vote here in Milwaukee in the black community. You know, to have all of the objections, being, genocide Joe Biden, um, uh, because he can't solve the problem in the Middle East to their satisfaction, even though this administration is really, really working hard to resolve it. It's the only, United States is the only game in the world that has its full court diplomatic press on trying to stop the conflict that, of course, Hamas started, which I think many of the detractors don't want to admit. That Netanyahu and his right-wing government, of course, like the president has said, they have gone over the top with their response, but stopping them is a matter of diplomacy. It's a matter of the status of the hostages. It's a matter of security on all the rest of the borders. I mean, it's not as if Israel is not being attacked from Lebanon, from by Houthis and the Hezbollah and ISIS. It's not as if there's not a real, unfortunately, regional war that's going on. But this president is doing everything up to and including just recently. A couple of things. Warned Israel, you better not do that offensive in Rafah, where you try to drive those Palestinians into the Sinai Desert, a place where Egypt has already said, look, we've had, peace with you, but if you do this, that's going to bring that into some jeopardy. And also, just recently, the president did an executive order saying that we will. It's a big step now, and it's not that we don't have to demand enforcement, but a huge step was made with an executive order that there would be oversight on U.S. aid for all countries that get it. That is a big step. And I think it's a clear message to Netanyahu that our support is no longer coming in the form of a blank check. This measure confirms that the U.S. commitment to ensuring that its partners do not restrict or impede humanitarian aid and strengthens oversight by requiring reporting to Congress on adherence to international humanitarian law.
Well,
we have to give a lot of credit to Chris Van Hollen on this, maybe even Bernie Sanders, when 25 Senate Democrats last week wanted to provide more humanitarian aid to Gaza. They wanted to make sure that these are fully enforced. So enforcement is one thing, but this is a step. And, there are efforts that have taken place, to basically try to sully my reputation in the community, the mayor's reputation, kind of an all-out attack on Black officials, sort of blaming us for what is happening in Gaza. Tammy Baldwin. And so I just think that
why are they blaming you?
This is a voter suppression activity.
Why are they blaming you?
Good question.
Yeah. Okay.
Good question, and I think because I have taken a different tact than they have. Their tact has been, and I haven't minded. They've shown up at my house New Year's Eve, and I guess January 6th, the anniversary of the assault on the Capitol, they decided to come protest my house instead. And disrupting Tammy Baldwin's events.
Now who's the Democrat? They? Who are the they?
It's because Joe Biden has exercised, I think, the United States foreign policy position that we're friends of Israel. And I think that they are want to ignore all of the efforts that he is making. He did give them military weapons without congressional approval. He did do that. That being said, he's the commander in chief, and Israel was attacked, which is one of the things you'll never hear any of the protesters say. That Hamas attacked Israel on October 7th.
But I think, Congresswoman, I think what the world is reacting to is not the initial attack. It has been the disproportionate response that Israel has visited upon Gaza in particular. So for those of us who are sitting here watching, we're going like, well, yeah, not to mention there was a 16-year siege, which was illegal, and which prompted, I mean, this wasn't an isolated thing, I think, and you know this. The nuance is, why do they hate us? And you go, well, wait a minute. You getting into the hate, and there are some causal factors there that is creating what you call the hate. So, and I understand you're in a precarious situation there in Congress in terms of where you are, which then brings us back to Michigan, because Michigan has one of the largest Middle Eastern populations in the country in that area. So I know that's where you catch it.
And it's working. The public relations campaign is working because my colleague, Rashida Tlaib, and she's a wonderful woman. She's the first and only Palestinian elected person in the country. But she's now urging people to vote against Joe Biden in the primary on February 29th. You know, and I have not, as a public official, taken the position I'm going to be against the election of the President of the United States, because I think the alternative for the people in Gaza and everywhere else is not good. Because so far that person would be Donald Trump.
Right. And Donald Trump gave us wasn't the Abraham Accords, where they basically negotiate about what's happening. Well, actually, no, they co-opted Saudi Arabia, I think United Arab Emirates, some of the other folks who signed on to that, because they didn't want to deal with the issue. And this is trumpeted by Trump. They didn't want to deal with the issue of how do we deal with the Palestinian indigenous people there in what is called Israel. And I think that, so if they're thinking that Trump is a better alternative, now, and maybe, and you can tell me, because you're so much smarter than me, is it not?
I am not a pastor. I am not a
well. That don't make you smart.
Community commentator. I'm a little low Congresswoman.
That's all. Just a Congresswoman. But this idea, maybe they're sending a signal to Trump to Biden in the primaries. I don't think that is a general election, because I know that Congresswoman Tlaib would know that the alternative is Trump, and Trump is, him and Netanyahu are butt boys. So,
well, can you put Pandora back in the box? I mean, in our community, the protests have spent a lot of time in my neighborhood, and Sunday there's going to be a forum or something. And it really is, there's been a real effort to accuse me of taking money from, war-making companies. I think Boeing is one of the places that I got money from. They make the airplanes and stuff, right? They make war material. They do so much more. I was on the Financial Services Committee, and I was the champion of the very last, the ability to get the Ex-Im Bank staffed up to operate. In order to get a bill out of a committee, if there's resistance to it, you have to have 218 signatures to get a discharge petition. And the last discharge petition,
go on,
was on Ex-Im Bank. and Boeing was very, very grateful for that. I understand the pain of the protesters. I feel the same pain and frustration, and I think that I'm offering them some grace, because I just think that when you don't know what to do, and you can't do anything else, it's hard not to just turn on each other. And that's what I'm feeling right now. That they're just, none of us can really do anything directly. And I'm going to give them that grace.
All righty. Congresswoman Gwen Moore. Are you there? Hello?
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh, okay. So we still have a few minutes left. We have to go to break. Do you want to hang on, or?
Sure.
Okay. You're listening to Community Voice. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back.
Maddie Bell Woods was born in Louisville, Kentucky. In the 1940s, Woods became a society reporter for African-American newspapers. In 1964, she joined the Milwaukee Courier, reporting for several other Milwaukee newspapers and the Chicago Defender. She was also a freelance writer for Ebony and Jet magazines. Woods loved to dance. She was featured in Jet doing the electric slide. Her newspaper column, Party Line, was last written the week she died. Maddie Bell Woods, known as the First Lady of the Black Press, had been a journalist with the Milwaukee Courier for more than 40 years and was the oldest working journalist in the United States. She was 103 years young when she died.
This moment in Black history was brought to you by U.S. Bank.
If you've got the right tools and the friendly people at U.S. Bank in your corner, making smarter money choices is a piece of cake. If only our tools and helpful advisors could have helped you avoid some of those not-so-smart choices in life. Like that time you tried to pick up unicycling.
Whoa, coming through.
Or when you thought it'd be okay to pet that squirrel in the park.
Good squirrel, good squirrel.
While we can't help you with all that, we can help you bank smartly at usbank.com/smarter together. Member FDIC.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack, but not with ZipRecruiter. Its powerful technology actively finds and invites qualified candidates to apply to your job. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Great impressions will exceed your expectations. Great impressions, perceptions, everything.
When it comes to graphic design and printing services, nothing is more important than details. At Great Impressions Graphic and Printing, their quick turnaround, competitive prices, and superior customer service have made them the #1 printer in Milwaukee for 20 years. High-quality custom funeral programs and memorial items, business cards and letterhead, T-shirts, banners of all sizes, and much more. Great Impressions guarantees their work will exceed your expectations, and their prices are competitive. Stop in or call Great Impressions for your next project today at 414-536-7646 or visit greatimpress.com.
Great impressions, perceptions, everything.
Culture by Design is a premier event curation and engagement marketing firm. Proudly announces its first ever Black History Month program. This celebration will feature a diverse array of curated film screenings, forums, and musical events honoring the significant contributions of Black Americans in visual arts, music, and culture. Join them Saturday, February 24th at the Cooperage, 822 South Water Street for the Lauryn Hill Experience. This event will feature captivating renditions of Lauryn Hill's music by Milwaukee's finest performing arts. For more information and a list of the month-long celebration, go to culturexdesign.com.
Hi, my name is Tamika Vukovic, co-executive director of Wisconsin Voices. Please join Wisconsin Voices every Monday, Tuesday, and Friday. We will be focusing on community partnerships, voter education, and long-term collective impact for all Wisconsinites.
You're listening to WNOV 860 and W293CX 106.5 Milwaukee. WNOV 860 and W293CX 106.5 Milwaukee. Community Voice on WNOV 860 AM and 106.5 FM.
Welcome back to Community Voice, and we have on the line with us Congresswoman Gwen Moore. But before I get to that, let me, Congresswoman Moore, just because, you know, I'm at age now, so I need to do it when I remember it. But Key, yesterday I was watching a video of Heat Wave and Rod Temperton.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my God. And they called him the Invisible Man.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, he wrote Thriller. So sorry about that, Congresswoman. When I was listening to that, it just made me think about watching that. And man, they were cold. They were good.
Hey, Congresswoman Moore is a music aficionado.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Jazz connoisseur. Oh yes.
Yeah. So it was a Heat Wave, and oh man, that was very.
I didn't know. So Ron Temperton, he wrote Thriller.
He sure did.
Yes.
I'm gonna have to check that out.
And the backstory on that was that I think Quincy Jones was aware of him, the work. Oh, we lost her again. Aware of the work that he was doing, and so some kind of ways he hooked him up with Michael, and he said he had 300 different titles he had come up with, and he finally settled on Thriller.
Well, until we get to going back, yeah, you know, if you look at the unsung on Heat Wave, I mean, it got to the point where a man that was leading the group wasn't accepting songs from Rod anymore. Like it was just a direction he was trying to go in. Rod was trying to go in one, so he ended up leaving and running with Q, and the rest is
history.
Right.
I mean, you know, just that, and then to, you know, write the title song and really come up with the title, the best-selling album.
Many
of all
songs
time.
did he write on Thriller though?
Yeah, he did 3 on Thriller.
And Off the Wall, because both of those aren't those both. Yeah, because you can hear you got the little Halloween.
Oh, The Lady in My Life is one of his.
Is one of his?
Yeah.
Yeah, because see, him and Quincy did the Thriller and Off the Wall album. So
Yeah. And so he did something on Off the Wall. Yeah. And but it was the 3, well, obviously the one song on Thriller.
Because when Off the Wall comes on, and it's the eerie noise, that's all.
Which I think is Michael Jackson's best musical album is Off the Wall. I know Thriller sold a lot.
I just say both of them because they both are Rod Quincy and Michael.
I like more songs on Off the Wall than I did on Thriller. And maybe because I'm one of these people, when it comes real commercial, you back up on it. Congresswoman Moore, you back with us?
Listen, I'm hanging on with AT&T. I should have followed my right mind.
Man, this is so crazy. You know, this is whoa. And so you got to be someplace for us Anyway,
Yeah.
I got to be someplace with Wi-Fi. So yeah,
I got Wi-Fi too, but okay. Anyway, here's the thing. I just want to, we ended talking about what was going on in Gaza. There's absolutely no doubt that there's a humanitarian crisis there. There's a humanitarian crisis on the border. We're about to shut the government down. I mean, but we have got to do something other than just play games. Ukraine is losing ground, and this is really an important. Funding them is essential toward democracy. We I really trust Joe Biden. I think he's doing a great job. I'm really sad and sorry that we have so many things going on at one time that people are feeling depressed. But I assure people that times are getting better, and just yesterday, I guess, the president unleashed yet another a round of student loan forgiveness. Even despite our inability to work with Republicans on this stuff, and so I just want people to know that I am honored to represent them. That I understand the troubles that they're facing. I'm working hard every day. I understand the cost of housing is astronomical, and should be one of the clear focuses of our work. And I do understand, that there's a humanitarian crisis going on in Gaza. And honestly, I have lots of statements that I could share with you, Keith. I'll send them to you, really pleading for everything that everybody wants is for the president to continue to exercise his, our relationship to bring the peace about. I mean, our UN ambassador once again vetoed a UN resolution for a ceasefire. And the United States is practically the only person on this planet, that vetoed it because we are trying to use our relationship with Israel to bring about a real kind of peace, get the hostages back, dead or alive, to get humanitarian assistance to Gazans. And so, everybody has their own tactic for bringing this about. And I think that the best tactic that we have got is Joe Biden.
Well, appreciate you. Thank you. It's a quandary. I understand I just know how status quo works, and I don't know if the status quo there in Israel is going to continue to work. I mean,
no, Netanyahu has got to go.
Well, and I think
Netanyahu has got to go.
But there are other people in Israel who feel the same way as Netanyahu, and
exactly.
And so I'm thinking, but we have to. And I know it was thrown out, possible retalk about revisiting the two-state solution, which was dismissed by Israel. I thought it was ironic that it was South Africa that took Israel to the World Court, right? And to deal with what was going on there, where it's, and I know, and you're in a tough situation, right? But I think America, we gotta, and I know our strategic interests, or a lot of people believe, is tied into a secure Israel, but Israel will never be secure if they do not deal with the issue of the indigenous Palestinian people there within their borders. It has to be dealt with, and and
I agree with that, like 100%.
Now, how to do it, I understand the devil's always in the details, but we haven't even got to the point that we say conceptually we're looking at a two-state solution. So,
well, a lot of people, one of the heartbreaks for me during this period since October 7th is to realize that everybody doesn't agree with me. I'm one of the people that wants a two-state solution. I've had people yelling and screaming and saying, F you and your two-state solution.
Right.
They really want Israel to, pack up and for those Jews to go to Poland or Brooklyn or wherever. And I, that's a legitimate, let me say that, point of view. And I hadn't considered that is a possibility that's practical. I know Hamas wants that.
Yeah.
And I don't agree with that.
But I think Israel created Hamas. Hamas is a direct response to what Palestinians felt like. Well, one, and I was watching this documentary a few years ago, and there was a South African who was commenting on the living conditions of Palestinians within the Israel border. And they were saying that this apartheid is worse than the apartheid that we experienced in South Africa. I never thought that could be possible. Okay.
Right.
And so, I mean, that's how people who are not part of, well, I want to say third world people, because you have to be very careful, this in this conversation, where you're not being perceived as anti-Semitic, even though Palestinian people are Semitic, that, in terms of criticizing Israel's policies, that is not the same as saying that I have an issue with Jews.
Exactly.
But it's hard because a lot of people say if you criticize,
and I've had a problem long before October 7th and been very articulate about it. And as a matter of fact, much to the chagrin of many people in the Jewish community, I was for a BDS. I was for allowing people to boycott, governments to boycott products that weren't appropriately marked, from the West Bank versus with the Israel stamp on it, or for people to say, hey, I don't want to buy any products from Israel because I object to the way they're treating the Palestinians, and so, I believe in some balance. I believe in just peace, and people are very binary, and I am not. I am grieving over the loss of life in Gaza and in Israel too, and proportionality is certainly an issue. And I don't think that Netanyahu and his government are listening. The only voices that can get through to them are Joe Biden, and they have worked continuously toward that end. And as I said earlier, a victory was just recently when the president said that we will place conditions. And I think that that's not, because, there is a concern about enforcement when it comes to Israel. But I do think that that's a step in the right direction because I've written a letter as early as November, to the president, asking him to make it clear to Netanyahu that they should not take our friendship and support for granted, that they should not do it, that we ought to leverage our support in ways. So,
and I think they're in their echo chamber because opposition throughout the world is growing, and I don't think, you used a term there, that proportionality, a 25-to-1 kill ratio, and then when you look at these are children, these are women, because it was vengeance, under the guise of wiping out Hamas. But in wiping out Hamas, you're wiping out Palestinian people they're just collateral damage in all of this. And I think the world is watching, and the world is beginning to have reactions. There's stronger reactions based on, what they're seeing. And
yeah, Keith, the carpet bombing is not necessary. I'll tell you, Israel is said to have the best intelligence agencies in the world. United States did 85 targets over in the Red Sea area because of the attacks on commercial boats and such. 80, and I'm sure there was loss of life, but it's nothing like the carpet bombing that's gone on in Israel and in Gaza. And so, Biden has been admonishing them about that too. It's like, wait a minute, why can't you be more strategic? If you're hunting down a member of Hamas, people that have caused this, that's one thing, but you don't have to wipe out, whole blocks of people in order to do it.
Right. I don't know if it's a question of wagging the dog for Netanyahu because he has a war going on, which then diverts people's attention from his criminality and what he's dealing with in terms of the criminal justice system there in Israel.
Right.
But it is what it is. All right, Congresswoman Gwen Moore.
I'm glad we solved the problem in the Middle East today, Keith.
Yeah, man, I am. Well, maybe we'll get the Nobel Prize. You're listening. Thank you, Congresswoman Gwen Moore. Appreciate you. I know we'll be talking again. I'm getting ready to close the show. You're listening to Community Voice. We're going to take a break. We'll be right back.
Mr. C.L. Woodson III invites everyone to come experience his new funny stage play. Them Golden Girls, saved, not yet sanctified. Just added, Danny Boy. From the classic movie New Jack City, R&B crooner Christopher Williams.
This is your boy Christopher Williams. Come hang out with me at my brother Mr. CL's new hit stage play.
Cassandra McShepard, Chastity Washington, R&B singer Dave Tolliver.
Milwaukee, what up? It's your man Dave Tolliver from Minute Heart.
Dr. Shantina Gladney, Gwendolyn Evans, and from the hit TV show Martin, Reginald Ballard.
What's up, bruh, man, from the fifth float, Milwaukee. This stage play gonna be all that.
Saturday, February 24th at the historic Pabst Theater. Tickets available now at the Pabst Theater box office. Online at PabstTheaterGroup.com. Be there in Golden Girls. Saved, not yet sanctified.
The 39th Annual Black Excellence Awards would like to salute the best individuals in our community. Douglas D. Kelly, WNOV Radio. Christopher Tillman, Zion Hill Missionary Baptist Church. Reverend Dr. Donna Childs, Tabernacle Missionary Baptist Church. Dr. Bobby Lathan, Zion Hill Missionary Baptist Church. Deacon Antoine Reesby, Holy Redeemer Church of God in Christ. Charlotte Cannon, SANE, COA Youth and Family Centers. Steve Thomas, Nevermore Batters Treatment Program. Dr. Rose Scott, community activist, and Lorella Granny Shee, Northcott Neighborhood House. We appreciate you for what you have accomplished.
Come savor the flavors of Pepper Pot Jamaican cuisine, located at 2215 North MLK Drive. Dive into our lunch menu, packed with mouth-watering starters, like our famous Pepper Pot jerk rolls, refreshing salads, and signature rice bowls, bursting with Caribbean flair. But the fun doesn't stop there. Join us for our happy hour from 5 until 8 p.m. every Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday, featuring irresistible food and drink specials. Don't miss out on the ultimate Jamaican dining experience at Pepper Pot, where you come hungry and you leave happy. For more information, please call 414-509-5206.
Hi there, I'm Deslyn Smith, the Executive Director of United Garden Homes Incorporated, the proud sponsor of the Nayumbu Opendo Show, broadcasting on WNOV on Wednesdays at 11 a.m. Poverty, illicit behaviors, drug abuse, and addiction have been affecting the quality of life for decades, not only in the Garden Homes neighborhood, but within disenfranchised communities throughout our country. United Garden Homes Incorporated is a neighborhood association-based nonprofit organization committed to supporting individuals and families to see beyond their current situation by way of education in mental health, substance misuse, and violence prevention, as well as with the the utilization of resource advocacy to empower and promote healing in our community. For more information, contact United Garner Homes Incorporated at 414-554-5538 or via email at info@ughinc.org. Hello, I am attorney Coral Plus, and I'm inviting you to join me for a new show here at WNOV 860 AM and 106.5 FM. You asked the name of the show? It's Money Talks with Attorney Coral, and it'll air each and every Thursday from 11 a.m. till 12 noon. We'll discuss financial literacy and what part Columbia Savings and Loan can play in your journey to financial freedom. Remember to join us each and every Thursday from 11 till noon, right here at 860 AM and 106.5 FM.
WNOV 860 and W293CX 106.5 Milwaukee. You're inside Community Voice on WNOV 860 AM and 106.5 FM with your host, Keith Parris.
Welcome back to Community Voice, and we're inside of their legacies.
That's right.
The good folks at Melon Minded. So let me, because we got a full house today, so I'm going to go from left to right. Miss Chanel Snowden.
Good morning.
Pastor Marlon Locke.
Good morning.
Pastor Trayvon Sinclair.
Good morning.
And Dr. Bashir Easton.
Good morning. Let's go, y'all.
What's happening, y'all?
It's ready. It's here. We got the powerhouse team in here today.
Oh man, you do. You do. So let's do this. Well, I'll let you just kick us off, man.
Yeah, so we are back in. Me and Chanel had some discussion as well. I want to say hi to Sandy Montez. She was a brand new baby, so she's not with us.
What
She's
she have, boy, girl?
a little girl, Luna.
Congratulations.
Little girl named Luna. We are in full push for the dementia-capable, dementia-friendly communities. As we talk about this disease in our African-American and Latino communities, we really had to get an understanding how our people need to lean in. And a part of this project we talked about last time, Keith, was how we're going to get the community to be aware. And the Lord told me to take it to holy ground first. And so that's where we started. We started with Pastor Marlon Locke with Unity Gospel House of Prayer to get the awareness out, to talk about the services that we're bringing to the community and really push this new initiative that we're doing for this year.
So with that said, Pastor Locke.
Hey, everybody. How y'all doing?
Good.
Let me first say I'm grateful to be here. Number one. Second thing is everybody on this panel looks way better than I do. They look I got on the jogging suit, and I need to go home and change
No, you don't,
because
man.
they
It's
look
radio, man.
amazing,
It's
right?
radio.
Nobody told me, but we're here, man.
That is perfect radio gear. That's how we
Let me
normally
throw that
look.
out there.
Yeah.
But just grateful, man. When Dr. Bashir came to me about it, being in the community all my life, and now our church, my church is in existence longer than myself, 51 years this year. You know, thanks be to God.
Amen.
But I was grateful and I was hurt all at the same time. Grateful for the opportunity, hurt because in the church world, we're so big on prayer and blessed oil and all that's great and it works. But to know that I've dealt with families that were dealing with dementia and Alzheimer's, and we didn't have anything hands-on to give them, right? A path, a guide to understanding the disease. There was a lot of families when they brought it to me that our team had to reach out to say, hey, you know what? We were grateful to pray with you and to anoint you and pray the prayer of faith and believe in God on your behalf. But while you're in this, I like to say this ING phase of life, right? Your healing process. We got a team of people, man, through Melody Minded that can really help you and your family deal with it more effectively than what we were just giving them. So it's cool, man. It's pretty cool, man.
And I'm looking, I know your church is 51 years old.
Yes.
Christ the King now is 30.
It's 38. It will be 39 this year.
Right.
Yeah.
And so for both of you, I was at an event and Pastor John McVicker was there and there was a panel discussion. And he was talking about when he first started Christ the King, and it blew up. I mean, it really did. I mean, I was there when they were over here to tell you. I mean, it just saw and shout out. He's one of the great visionaries. Man, I just have so much respect for John Wesley McVicker. But the thing that kind of hit me when I thought about he said at 38 years old, 51 years old, there were people who started in that congregation who are now people in that age group that's going to be affected by dementia. So how is that challenge for a church like Christ the King? And how important is it to have this relationship with the melanin-minded people?
Absolutely. I thank you for letting me comment. And Pastor Locke says he's not dressed according to power, but we you don't have to be dressed when you already know who you are. So he the man, and we love him to death.
but it helps. It certainly helps.
But I think it's amazing, and I'm thankful for Dr. Easter allowing us to be a part of this. I think it's definitely a topic that should be talked about in our congregations of so many who have struggled with this. And I think, as Pastor Locke said, it is something that has been silenced, as so many things are in the Black church, that he has helped to heighten and bring awareness to. And what really sold me to really partner with Dr. Easter was that this is not something that he's just talking about or he's just started. This is something that he has experienced with the passing of his mom, and as Sharon was talking also. And so that was what really captivated me, because this is something that he can connect with and relate to. And this week I was reading through scripture, and I was reading a portion where it says after Jesus had died and he had breathed his last, right, that the veil of the tomb was broken in two. And it says that those who were asleep rose again. After he breathed his last breath, then breath continued to those who had no life. And he is suggesting through this organization, right, that as his mom took her last breath, he would not let that be in vain, to make sure that others would be able to breathe and walk again. And so I am excited to be a part of this because of what I know he is getting ready to do to help.
Yeah, I'm taking notes. You're doing offering. I'm taking notes.
To really help those in our community.
It's going to be preached someplace.
Preach this Sunday. That was good, man. That was good.
But Pastor Locke, you said something, and this has been my struggle in terms of we have had a tradition of fasting and praying and anointing. That has been part of our tradition.
Mhm.
More so, I know you apostolic, but even among the Baptist movement, we've had this thing where we said we're going to depend on the Lord, and then we kind of discount science. Now, the argument I make with people is there's a term that we use that God is not omnipotent, right? He knows everything, and that knowledge, just because you know, doesn't make you not spiritual.
Right.
And that's a
Absolutely.
conflict. So when you coming in, giving the science, the data, the numbers behind it, what you can do, in some people's mind, there's pushback, right? Because here you come in with this science, and we've been anointing, and we've been praying. Now, I want to say this because, and some of you been dying. I'm just saying.
That's true.
You know, that you can be holy unto death, as opposed to being able to find that balance. So how do you strike that balance in terms of the messaging for your congregants?
So for me, and now I got to preach my message since you done preached your message. Shoot, I'm gonna give me a message in too.
Hold on, let me run and
give my money back.
I'm going to get my wallet, man. We got another offering. This is our second offering.
No, on a serious note, listen, man. So the Bible says that faith without works is dead, being alone. So I got a bottle of water right here. Say I was dehydrated, and if I didn't drink this water, I would die. So although the water is right here in front of me, that's my faith part. I can believe dying. It's not until I actually get the water and drink it. So a lot of people die believing. So when you look, that makes sense. Come on here.
Yeah.
I'm in the building too, man.
Yeah,
So faith without work. So now we have all the faith, but now Melanin Minded and Dr. Bashir, along with his partners, we're bringing in the works portion. So it's still Bible.
Yeah.
Well, why does it have to be Bible? When you say it's still Bible, we're talking about saving your life. We're talking about people managing, and they're going to need the spiritual component because you're going to need the patience, right? The faith. But I don't know if this is one of those things where I have to justify to you your life, your health. Well, I said, well, it's Bible. I mean, why is that so?
Let me add one piece to that real quick.
Yeah.
So Chanel had a great question that we're going to ask you too as well. So when we talk about individuals, there are things when we go into the science that actually helps an individual have a better quality of life.
Right.
That's what we have to understand. Everyone is going to meet the maker, right?
Yep.
We can't get past that.
No exceptions.
In the time that you have, we talk about the quality of life. This disease takes away the quality of life.
Yeah.
So what people step away? They step away from going back to places they go, to church. They stop being around family and friends. These are the things we're trying to push back into individuals to get them back to the places so they have a quality of life.
Right.
The music component that we talked about a lot, that music piece about that, putting the headphones on and listen to their song and their music, it brings them what the science part of it is, reduces the cortisol that's actually reduced in the brain. Endorphins are then goes and it actually activates the brain like a muscle. People also enjoy going to church. Them stepping away from church because of the lighting may be too much, or the sound may be too much, or the people are looking at them. They should not be robbed of their quality of life because the church doesn't understand them.
Right.
Or their family and friends that understand that culture, that stigma is too high. So we're doing our best to get it to understand. We need to get you back to where you believe. And those faith is going back to church, going back to the grocery store, going back to the restaurant. You are an individual that you've lived your life in Milwaukee all this time. And because of this disease, you're now recluse. You're stepped away. We say, no, you can't do that. God wants you to be around everybody. That builds up endorphins. It also brings up the mind and understanding, but it also brings you back connecting to the source that you want to be around. That's usually around your faith folk.
Well, that's the power of
That's the
fellowship.
power of faith.
And
That
connecting
also,
with,
and then so the people around them sees that. And they're like, you know what? That helps reduce the stigma. Because now we're like with cancer. They talk about cancer. Cancer used to be a bad word too. Yeah. People didn't want to talk about cancer. They don't have. Now you have people surviving from cancer. Now people are like, look, I'm a 5 years in, 2 years in, 10 years in. We want the same thing for this disease. But until we step in, because the numbers are so high with us, we're going to continue to be last. So we have to teach up and teach fast. Right. And that's why this is important. Chanel, you want to share that question real quick?
I don't want you to think that it wasn't. I was talking about a particular pushback you get if I don't see it in the Bible. Yes. And I'm saying there's a whole lot that we do you don't see in the Bible.
Yeah.
You know, even what you call church today you really don't see in the Bible. So, and I think that people will do that a lot of times. And in my mind, it's not invincible ignorance. It's just a comfort level we have to have where we can have two different discussions. I can talk about your spiritual life, where you are, but I also need to talk about your physical being.
Yes.
And this is based on some numbers and based on some facts. The faith is going to help me get through it. But if I don't do what the doctor tells me to do, if I don't do what the caregiver instructor tells me to do, I'm going to struggle. That's all. I was just, because I get pushed back.
That's true.
Science is a religion. No, science is science. It is not, but we have been so programmed to believe that if you have knowledge, somehow that diminishes God. And in my mind, it actually accentuates God. But that's just where's my offering? Go ahead. He said he got it. I dropped some money. I was going up, we do the cash offering. So I was coming up and it was like small $10 bill. And I turned to the deacon. I said, can I get $9.50 back? When people used to get change, they come and drop it. Go on, Chanel.
I just wanted to provide a specific example based off of what Dr. Easter was saying. So my mom, she was very young when we started noticing signs, and we grew up in church. That was something that we did. And bringing her to church while she was going through these changes, it was very challenging because she looked normal, but if she was asked to do a task that she was normally doing in the church or asked a question, she wasn't able to answer, or she just would give off like weird body language. So then the people who were asking her these questions were like, okay, well, like what's going on with her? And then us not having that education or really understanding what dementia was, we couldn't explain to them. So it left that weird dynamic. So that in itself made it uncomfortable for us to bring my mom to church because we didn't know how to explain it. And then the people in the church didn't know how to receive it either.
Wow.
Do you think now, because our churches are aging, that there's probably certainly more sensitivity or awareness? Not the level of awareness but people, because they're impacted by it. Either they're caregivers or they themselves are beginning to deal with early onset of dementia. So, the aging of these congregations, I would think would make this even more compelling for you to partner with Melanin Minder.
Yeah, I think that's very true. Kind of going back to the question that you asked about the lack of trust, or why does it have to be biblical? And I think when you look at culture, what was that Tuskegee piece with
the syphilis stuff?
Absolutely. So there was a time, right, where the Black church could not trust those who are in position to take care of them. So that is where the tension has come. Now I think times have changed, where we have people like Dr. Easter and many others who are in position that we have a different level of respect for them. They're in the position that we can trust what is being said. And so I think that's possibly how that has changed. And so, yes, as congregations many are getting older, but it's also getting younger, right? Another generation is coming up that is also aware of some things that we have not talked about, and to be able to bring both of the conversations in together, right? Scripture also says, right, I wish above all things that you would prosper and be in good health. We have to bring both of those a part of the conversation with our beliefs and with our health. And I think that is what's changing as we're talking about some of these things.
And I think it's interesting, the image that I look here. If I looked at you demographically, I would go, well, these folks are not even at that point of dementia. But I think you talked about the intergenerational piece. That becomes really important.
It's very important. So when we talk about African Americans, we should say the numbers. We're 2 times higher to be impacted by this disease. And that number is actually low because of the non-diagnosis, misdiagnosis. And our Latin Americans are 1.5 times higher. So think about the people that are impacted. They said 4.8 million people were impacted with this disease in 2018. And they're focused on the baby boomer generation. Who is that, right? We're talking about now, it's 2023. It's happening. So when we talk about the numbers and being impacted, so you talk about those individuals living with the disease, they used to call it what we say old timers. They still say that to this day. It's old timers. And that means they heard the term Alzheimer's, but did not understand the other components. So you imagine the individuals that are living with, now imagine all the caregivers that are providing that care for those numbers. These are all the individuals that are in the church. These are business owners. These are people that we see every day. They are providing this care with no manual. So now what's impacting is their quality of life, because they're having to take time off from work. The FMLA is starting to be utilized, and then their health is impacted by it. So what we're really trying to do is bring into the churches all of these different resources, services, and supports to an existing infrastructure to do what? To serve the people in the church and the people that are outside those walls. This has not been done in that capacity before. It had to be new and fresh. And that's why I feel that this is time. The time is now. When they hear me speak, they hear the passion comes out of it, because I see exactly what God is showing me, that he's trying his best to make sure that we now take care of ourselves with the information that's been given, because he's given us the information. I've been in Atlanta. Atlanta's a part of the market we're working with, the Texas area as well. Dr. Pharaon Epps has now 81 churches that are a part of it. Milwaukee County's churches, the 10 that we got, we add to that to now be 91. So this is not brand new across the nation. This is just new in Milwaukee County. Yeah. So our beacon of building this from the underrepresented populations is really to focus on the groups that have not been touched. They've been touched in the suburban areas. They've been touched in Madison and with these resources, but not in our community. So that's our push to work with entities that are already here. Chanel has a program that we're really trying to get 30 families. Do you know how hard it is to get 30 families to get help? They ain't had to pay for nothing. These services go into their home, and it's been very hard to get just 30 families. So that's why we say, let's go through the churches to help now get these connecting with the resources, plus the youth. The youth are now being trained up early with this, with the Bridge U program. And the other thing is we're bringing that Navigator transportation service to the community, so now they can go back to places they stepped away from.
You mentioned earlier there was no manual. Is there a manual now?
No, there's no manual. There is still no manual. So when any individual has been diagnosed with the disease, we also say what type. We just don't say dementia. We want them to say, we want to know what's going on. So we're building that. The other thing is everyone is different. You meet someone with the disease, you only met that one person because you have that disease, but then you have the person. The person has their life experiences and things that they go through. We just need to understand their behavior through who they are and who they were. And that's where we as caregivers need more of the understanding. And so that's what we teach. That's what we push. And then we bring immediate action so people can get the help right now. Now wait.
I want to take a call?
You're ready?
Sure. Caller, welcome to the program.
Good morning, you all. I appreciate the conversation. You know, when what's interesting is when my grandmother had Alzheimer's, and my mother never talked about it. She didn't go through. We knew it was hard for her to try to take care of her, but we never got it. And then when my mother got Alzheimer's, it was like it was all kind of situations that come up, and we were having to adapt accordingly, get control of the finances, get control of the health authority, get control of all kinds of stuff. And my mother wouldn't even sign the papers.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I had to threaten my mother to get her to sign the papers with my attorney because she wasn't going to give me a power of attorney over all of her stuff until I had to threaten her, and I had to cry while I was threatening her because you needed to have that.
That's true.
And then my mother was, she had a caregiver come in, but then we took my mother to a family reunion some years ago before she passed, and we didn't take the caregiver with us. And boy, was that a mistake. My mother locked us out of the room. You had to literally have somebody be in there while she bathed, be with her to make sure she went to the bathroom, all kinds of stuff, and all the things that there was no book on, but you had to adapt accordingly because it was more than a notion. And then you talked about all the services you get. I mean, my mother passed. We had an insurance policy on my mother. We didn't know that the state could come in and make you pay back all those services, which they did. 2 years after she died, we get a letter saying you owe us all of this money, hundreds of thousands of dollars. And we're going like, well, how come we owe you? It's a law somebody passed in Madison to be able to reclaim all your assets. And it wasn't for an attorney that my insurance policy happened to be before the law was passed. But man, they wear you out even after they're gone. So you have to know as much as you can about the care and even after they pass, all the issues that can come up because is the caregiver, you're still getting worn out. And so it's really, really good information you're given and trying to help people navigate that because it is not easy to navigate. And sometimes people think it's going to be easy, and all of a sudden you talk to them and they're having a hard time trying to deal with even the aftermath of Alzheimer's.
And what he's saying right there is we're all from
Thanks,
different
Tyrone.
mothers and fathers, and we're all dealing with the same thing.
Well, let me ask you, but
Yeah.
he brought up something. We talk about the caregiving part of this, you know, and I've had to do some things now for my mom where I have, you know, power of attorney. I don't know if we haven't done the advanced directives yet.
That's
but,
the same thing.
right. Okay.
Mhm.
And being able to go in and do that. Now, my mother she was suggesting,
Mm-hmm.
and because what my mom is dealing with now at 89 is short-term memory loss.
Yeah.
Right. So a lot of those things. But teaching people how to do all of that because there's the paperwork, right?
Yeah. Chanel, break it down.
Yeah, that's very important. And one of the first things we do when we meet with families is determine if they have that in place. And we actually have a nurse who is well versed in that, who will sit down with families and have those difficult conversations to try to come to a medium of, okay, you need to have this in place. This is the person that's going to be in charge. So we counsel families through those hard situations. So I think that's very important because, like the caller said, you're trying to get these things and you have no support. So when you have that additional support help guiding you through these decisions, it makes it easier on the family.
Right. Because if they would have been, the family would have been conscious of that. And I don't know if they went through the county or whatever, but you sign a lien, you know, basically when it's providing those medical services, which gives the county the power or whoever the governmental agency is to come in. So you might want to take a look at the paperwork.
Right. So that's where we're talking about Title 19.
Right.
So family care, we get into that. So family care is that you're getting basically, you're saying you have no assets or anything like that. And then these services are provided for you to be able to do these things to care for you until the person pass. In that, they're stating the state can then say, hey, we provided these services to you. Were there anything that was considered that could be liquidated? A house, life insurance policy, and things like that. But people don't understand that there are attorneys that are there to help you do different things. And that is like an irrevocable trust, right? There are things. So I don't want people to just think that's it. It is not, right? There's nothing new under the sun in regards to that. So they're knowing things that people are not trying to defraud the government. Right. We had some that would take their assets and give it to their kids and stuff like that. But the main focus is to make sure the person had enough funding to provide their own care. And then the government would step in.
Yep.
If you had the opposite, you just needed the government to help you. They were already looking back at what you have accumulated in your lifetime. There are also things that we're bringing to the churches that there is right now one only life insurance policy that actually has a rider for Alzheimer's and dementia that we're bringing into the church. That the individual is maybe impacted by this disease, they will be able to recoup that funds from their life insurance policy to help them while they are still living. These are the things that we're trying to get people to understand, the new wave of support and services that are out there that we're bringing to the church. So as people are having these other issues, I'm glad that he spoke about them. We're looking to make sure people know that there is a difference now. There's a change. And so that's to help to reduce the stigma and force people to get the help that they need right away.
Yeah. And that is a difficult conversation when you're going in, because always in the background of this, either incapacitation or death.
Yes.
I mean, that's what makes it so uncomfortable. You know, I have to talk to my mom once a month about her burial trust.
Yep.
Right. And how are we doing for the funeral? And then I asked her, I said, well, how much do you want to spend on it? And then she'll give me a number. It changes every week. But that's a hard conversation. I was very fortunate, though, because in some ways my mom understood her limitations. She's not dealing with dementia, but she understood that. And so she said, one, I'm going to stop driving. Two, things like putting some of her kids on her bank account. It was some things that, and then it was uncomfortable for me because I don't really want to know my mama's personal business. Now that was my discomfort. You know, I knew she paid her bills, but I didn't want to know. But you got to work through that too. You know?
I want to say this to you real quick. You made a statement that your mother has short-term memory loss. That's dementia, brother.
Yeah, I know.
So you said she didn't have dementia, right? So the difference is what type of dementia does she have? Short-term is one portion. She could have a dementia type. It could just be mild cognitive impairment.
Right.
So when we talk about educating the community, we're seeing these different things, but not connecting them.
Okay.
And so that's what we're trying to do, is get people to connect to understanding what's going on with the brain. So not just the person, how the brain has now been rerouted to understand the world around it. And that we are not educated on talk about the science part of it. That's what we're bringing into the churches to now have a true understanding of what it is and what it isn't. And then making the medical community give us everything we need to continue to have a quality of life, because they're part of it. We need those diagnoses. We need for them to tell us the type of dementia it is. We need to understand that, hey, if something's happening to me, who do I lean on from the medical community to provide me the best services possible? So that becomes, we become advocates for ourselves and our community. So that's the other thing why we're bringing to the churches as well.
It's interesting because she took the same test that Trump goes around bragging that he aced. She did that same test. And so when you talk about that, so what does it look like then for the churches in terms of this relationship? What does that look like?
So the first thing is we are going through Dr. Fayron Epps. She is the renowned person in regards to the faith-based community and this disease. Are going to come to the 10 churches that we're working with to actually train them on what to do with people that are in their congregation, and then what they can do to be a beacon in their community. So it's a formal training that they're going to go through. In that formal training, we're also bringing those resources that Chanel has, resources that we are bringing in regarding the music and memory component, the Bridge Youth Program, the Navigator Transportation. The goal is an economic stimulus that actually is going to be in the church, and the people that are there providing care are now can be drivers, are getting paid for these services. And then they're connected to the businesses. These businesses are going to be recognized as dementia-friendly communities as well, as we're going to train them. The next 10 or churches that come behind the first 10 will be mentors to those churches to make sure that these people get all the flooded resources that are in those churches. Instead of them having to search out and call different numbers, they can go right to Christ the King, Unity Gospel, Ebenezer, Calvary. They can go to these churches and say, hey, this is what's going on with me and my loved one. And then the resources will be given to them. We also are making sure the churches don't have to have a financial burden to do this, because it needs people, right? So there's funding that we're wrapping around from the university, from the college systems, the medical systems, the government systems, to help wrap with the churches to make sure these fundings that are coming in. It's the NIH and the NIA, so the National Institute of Health, the National Institute of Aging. These are where grants and stuff like that will be coming in to flood these churches to help them in this effort. Milwaukee is the model, y'all. I want y'all to understand that.
Let me, and this obvious as well as should be. It should always start, local, and then, you go micro, macro, right? What are you, in terms of your denomination affiliations, the plenary groups, National Baptist Convention? I don't know what your apostolic, what your organization is. How important is it to have that conversation when you have your state conventions, when you have your national conventions? And I'm not aware that it could be going on, certainly on the National Baptist side. I know we saw this when 5 or 6 major denominations came together for COVID awareness. And it was done at that level: AME Church, Progressive Baptist, Church of God in Christ. So I guess my question is, should this be on a national level too? Because obviously their churches are aging, right? I mean, the National Baptist Convention is older. Should we be having those conversations at that level?
The interesting part is we don't know yet, right? We when we started this push, it was local.
Okay.
When I went to Atlanta, that's when I heard of Dr. Fayron Epps. I knew nothing about her. So there's a lot of places that are dealing with this and talking about it and actually having major movements about this. We just in Milwaukee County just got on the wave. So yes, there's most likely a lot of discussions in that. So the Alzheimer's Association has been focusing on the church community and that. We're just saying that our goal is to make sure that our local areas are connected, to then say who then is already having this conversation, to then say how do we connect as well. I do agree. This should be a national conversation. This should be something, as we talk about this disease in the African American, Latino, and the Asian community, is that we are now making strides to move past the denial and getting past our culture to not take this on. And so the church is where we're leading it to move forward to do so. I wanted to add another thing. We had a question that came on to the pastor. They said if they can had, it says, ask the pastors if they have had these personal experiences with members of the congregation. And if so, could you share your views?
So absolutely. And to answer your question, yes, I believe all churches should be aware of this and support it. I really believe that, because it's real, right? So about 25 minutes ago when we said, hey, according to scripture, well, the reason in the church we oftentimes say, can I talk Bible, is because people are not coming for my opinion. So if I give just information based off my opinion, I didn't come to God for your opinion. So when you give me the word of God, so how I use the scripture, faith without works. So I gave them the faith portion. We believe in God. We praying for you, right? God gonna do it, right? I'm believing God on your behalf. But now this is the works, and they'll say, "Oh, okay, that makes sense." Or when Pastor Sinclair said, "I pray that you prosper and be in good health." So God wants us to prosper, but now your health is diminishing. So what can we do to help? That makes sense what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
So that's why even when I minister, I always say, "Can I talk Bible?" And I got a hood church and I love it. So, we on 12th and Vine. So my church, when I say, can I talk Bible? They talk Bible, Pastor. They walk up and talk to me.
I was shocked that they didn't want your opinion. That really shocked me. I hear some opinions, but maybe it's my ears. It's kind of going, I don't know. That's yours, right?
It's very important that they can look to the word of God and say, this is what God's word says about my life. So yes, I'm dealing with some people now that I can see the stages of them, because now mind you, 47 years old, born and raised in the church. My mom's water bag broke on a pew on a Monday night Bible study. Right? So I literally was almost born in the church. So a lot of people that helped raise me, now I'm kind of help caring for them.
Right.
So yeah, we see it, but in the church world, the Bible declares that life and death is in the power of the tongue. Right. So you got the church world that say, I ain't speaking no dementia. That's my old school voice, right? I'm not speaking no dementia or no Alzheimer's. And it's like, well, no.
What I just say?
This, you know what I'm saying? Like this, but this is happening. So now we're believing God to keep your mom or your dad or your aunt or uncle's mind renewed, right? We even have leaders that we have had to put in different capacities because of them getting older. And in the Black church, well, at our ministry, when they get a position, they think they're supposed to have it to the Lord call them home. But you really should get somebody that you can mentor to say, hey, so what we did at our ministry, a lot of our seasoned people that were up in age, we created an advisory board. So we just did a big celebration for them and said, hey, we want to celebrate y'all now. Now you all are wise counsel, but this person is going to fulfill those roles that you're doing, because sending out emails and doing things like a Sinclair. Pastor McVicker used to come to Unity, our church. My granddad loved this back when Pastor Vicker had a curl when he had a new vote. You know what I'm saying? He used to come and carry on revivals because my granddad just loved them. But again, my granddad is no more. So now Pastor McVicker was able to take from one visionary into another and build. Now he got a Sinclair on his team that can take and build and deal with a different type of generation.
Yes.
So that don't mean that because you're up in age, you're not effective anymore.
Yes.
We're just in a different age now, and just understanding that.
You listen to Community Voice. We're inside their legacy. The good folks here from Mellon and Minded. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back.
Imagine, if you will, a wonderland of vehicles. An entire convention center filled with the things you love to drive. It's the Milwaukee Auto Show at the Baird Center downtown, February 24th through March 3rd. Immerse yourself in the latest new cars, new trucks, SUVs, luxury vehicles, classics, and this year, we even have an indoor electric vehicle ride course. It's a wonderland of vehicles. Everything all in one place, all in a non-selling environment. It's a great place to comparison shop. The Milwaukee Auto Show. Save big on tickets. Go to autoshowmilwaukee.com.
For one night only, Saturday, March 9th, the Marcus Performing Arts Center presents Hubbard Street Dance Company. Over the last 46 years, Hubbard Street Dance Company has been one of the most original forces in contemporary dance, bringing top choreographers and works to Chicago and beyond. Hubbard Street's ever-evolving repertoire, created by today's leading choreographic voices, introduces audiences to original, cutting-edge, contemporary dance. Their mission is to bring artists, art, and audiences together to enrich, engage, educate, and change lives through the experience of dance. March 9th at 7:30 p.m. Tickets and information available at marcuscenter.org.
High blood pressure is a major risk factor for heart disease. It is a medical condition that happens when the pressure of the blood in your arteries and other blood vessels is too high. The high pressure, if not controlled, can affect your heart and other major organs of your body, including your kidney and brain. High blood pressure is often called a silent killer because it usually has no symptoms. The only way to know whether you have high blood pressure is to measure it. You can lower your blood pressure with lifestyle changes or with medicine to reduce your risk of heart disease and heart attack. So this February, show your heart some love. Schedule your screenings and your flu and COVID vaccinations today by calling 414-727-6320. Once again, that's 414-727-6320. This Community Heartbeat Moment is presented by Outreach Community Health Centers.
You're listening to WNOV 860 and W293CX 106.5 Milwaukee. Community Voice on WNOV 860 AM and 106.5 FM.
Welcome back to Community Voice, and we're having good folks here, their legacy, Melanin Minded, and we're joined in the studio by Chanel Snowden, Pastor Marlon Locke, Pastor Trayvon Sinclair, and Dr. Bashir Easter.
What's happening?
What's happening, y'all, again?
Hey.
Well, Small Walkie, man, we connected on so many different levels, man. I was talking, I worked with Dr. Bashir's folks down at the county. I know your folks, Ruby, know their folks. It's Small Walkie, man.
Room of family.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
And let me appreciate you all, man, because there is a, which I'm very supportive of, there is a shifting, a generational shift. And it's time for, what do they say, bye boomers? Time for some of us boomers to kind of, because we're in good hands. I mean, when you look at the talent level that I see and the talent level that you all just bring to this particular subject, I was going to say to the game, to this particular subject is amazing. So
appreciate that.
Appreciate you having the vision and then you all being able to catch on to the vision.
Another question came in. They were saying, pastors, since you are the ones that know your congregation best, how do you think that they will receive this information as we're building this?
I think our congregation will receive it well. Christ the King, the history has always been community focused. All the things they've done, these past 38 going on 39 years have always been how can we help our community, building up our community, and any way that they can do it, they've always done it. And so I think this is just to add to what we are already doing and what we have always prided ourselves on doing, and that is that we're outwardly focused, right? That we care and think about those that are not in the building. I was recently talking through that, right? When Jesus comes to the woman at the well, right? He comes out of bounds. There's no way that he should have been where he was, right? But he is willing to come out of bounds to the place that he shouldn't have been to offer, right? This love and compassion for this woman that was not supposed to be a part of the community. And because of that, the Bible says that she dropped her water pots and she goes to the same people that she was afraid to be around before. And she says, come see a man. Our focus as a church has always been about doing ministry out of bounds. And I just believe that what Dr. Easter is doing with this is focusing on a community that has been out of bounds, that has been out of the focus, and to suggest to them that you matter too.
Oh, he said he wasn't ready for the radio today. Look at this. Come on now. Come on now.
This is Pastor Mark. I am not going after that. What he said. We can go.
I'm just looking at the offering, man. I'm just looking at the love offering here.
Pastor, hold on. No. But when we started this with you, we tried to get more of the pastors in there. You invited so many.
I did.
What happened? Let's talk about that.
Yeah, you know what? I got a mass text thread, and the thing about being in, I'll confess this, the thing about being in text threads with pastors is they all try to get their event off. I'm just being honest. I might get some flack, but everybody there, and I'm like, okay, your revival is cool. This service is cool. This musical is cool. This concert is cool. But like, we got some real people in our pews that are struggling. They can't remember. They got a lot going on, and we see it. And every Sunday, every Tuesday, we praying and we speaking in tongues, and you throwing oil with water guns on people, just figuratively speaking, right? And you doing all this stuff.
It's gonna happen somewhere.
You know what I'm saying? But it's like, hey, we can get something practical that they can take and use that will give them a better quality of life. So like, you should be a part of this. So when they don't want to participate, it's like, okay, I'm just put it out there. I believe it's God ordained.
Yes.
Me and Bashir used to play basketball years ago. I didn't even know he was a doctor. So we got a mutual dear friend, Robert Jackson,
Big Rob,
and we were just kind of talking. And I said, man, he was like, man, I'm so I meet with Dr. Bashir, but I didn't know it was him. Remember we had the Zoom?
Yeah.
And when you came on the screen, I'm like, hey, what's up, bro? How you been? I'm talking about hooping, man. You still got it?
Yeah.
And then when I looked at his name on the Zoom, I'm like, you Dr. Bashir? He's like, yeah. So it was just, I'm like, God, I thank you, because it's something that our ministry needed, and I believe all ministries do.
Well, it's also a difficult conversation. I would have thought COVID would have moved us, but what we did was we adjusted to COVID and we went right back to doing what we were doing before. And so when you're talking about, and I think that there has to be a consciousness level for our leadership in terms of pastors and their exposure. Everybody wasn't down with Dr. King. And we can get into preachers and doc clubs and the whole Pete's. So that's always a difficult group. Sometimes it has to be the congregation going to the pastor saying, "Hey, this is something we need to do."
Yes,
because maybe there's not a comfort. They're comfortable. They understand revivals. They might not understand this. Yeah, so there's a certain level of patience that you get, I think you probably have to have.
But you're right on one of the. No, go ahead, Pastor.
I think it's just a certain level of compassion for people.
Yes.
Right. As Pastor Locke said, there are people who are throwing oil and all the things, and I think there's nothing wrong with that. But I do think that sometimes we're offering to say that if you do this, something's going to change. No, the truth of the matter is, it's not going to change. It's not going anywhere. You have to deal with some of these things, right? But I think that the focus cannot be on those who are not. I believe our community needs to hear and see those who do. Before I moved back, I'm originally born and raised in Milwaukee. I've been back about 2 years now at CTK. But before I came back, I think I was in North Carolina at the time, finishing up at Duke. And I was on Facebook and saw that, I can't remember what it was, Pastor Locke, Pastor McVicker came together, and a few other pastors. It was someone who had a community or something, or hot water heater, something came.
Oh yeah,
What-
Friendship Club.
Yep, Friendship Club.
Yeah.
And they came together to that's the ministry that matters.
Right.
We don't have time to talk about who ain't, but we do have time to talk about those who care enough about the people, who are compassionate enough about people, that we're willing to come together to make sure that those things matter. Individually, it doesn't, right? The church is a community of people. It is all of us together working on the mission, right? To save this community, to save these people, to be of help. That is all of our job. Whether they go over there, whether they go with us, whether they go with someone else. The question is, are they safe? Do they have somebody that's going to speak up on their behalf that cares for them? There are not enough churches in the city to get the people that we want to get, right? And so I think that has to be the focus. And we have to look at the model that they displayed, being able to come together for something like that and say, hey, we want to do that, regardless of the denomination. This new generation could care less about denomination. They don't understand it. They don't care about it. And truth of the matter is, they come into our church and say, hey, I love Jesus. I don't know nothing about the hymns. I don't know nothing about the structure. I don't know nothing about the songs. I just want to be saved, but I don't even know how to live within the frames that we've conformed. That means our focus has to be on, right, how are we going to come together to make sure that the mission can be done?
I want to add this to what Chanel has said. So you took your mom, couldn't take her back to church, right? What changed in her quality of life because she wasn't going to a place that she used to go to and grew up? Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, it was not even just church. She was just very community focused. So her just not being able to do those things that she typically did, we just saw but I think she declined quickly because she didn't have those. But if we had the support of the community or even church just to understand what she was going through, and we could bring her and they would provide her with those supports or meet her where she is, I really do believe that her decline wouldn't have gone as fast as it did. And I will say, as she got further in her disease, the outreach program at our church, I went to Tabernacle, and they would come and do communion every first Sunday, and that was a way for her to kind of engage. So things like that definitely matter.
So the reason why I had to make sure I brought it back to that is those are the people. How many people I'm not able to go back to church that they've tithed in, that they had married in, that they had their kids grow up, and because of a disease, they're not able to feel welcome back in the place that you're taken away. And so Pastor Locke said one of the things that we're giving is hope. We're giving people back a understanding, information, support, and trust, as well as the ability for them to say, I can still be. I'm a person, I'm a human being. I've given all my life and time. And because of something I didn't ask for, that I've been impacted by, that I cannot understand and worship God with the people that I'm around. So this is a part of bringing people back and giving them an understanding that they matter.
The community voice. We're up on the last break of the program. We'll be right back.
Hi, this is Keith Parris, the host of Community Voice, asking you to join us Mondays through Fridays from 9 to 11. You will hear from interesting guests, Wednesday's Word, and topics and subjects that impact our beloved community.
And don't forget about me, Devon Jones, DJ The Protege, here every Friday, bringing you Free Flow Friday, Politics Nation, Sports, Haters Nation, local events, national events. And remember, while I'm here, there'll be no passes given.
That's Community Voice heard on The Voice, WNOV 860, 106.5.
This is Martina Colin-Graves, President and CEO with Mental Health America of Wisconsin. I want to take a moment to remind you that your mental health matters. This time of year can be stressful, but we have programs and services committed to supporting our community. We are a nonprofit organization dedicated to helping adults and kids live mentally healthier lives. We offer online screenings, outpatient therapy, and a peer-run warm line for support day and night. Call us today, 414-276-3122, or visit mhawisconsin.org to learn more about these services and more.
Hello, I am attorney Coral Plus, and I'm inviting you to join me for a new show here at WNOV 860 AM and 106.5 FM. You asked the name of the show? It's Money Talks with attorney Coral, and it'll air each and every Thursday from 11 a.m. till 12 noon. We'll discuss financial literacy and what part Columbia Savings and Loan can play in your journey to financial freedom. Remember to join us each and every Thursday from 11 till noon, right here at 860 AM and 106.5 FM.
WNOV 860 and W293CX 106.5 Milwaukee. You're inside Community Voice on WNOV 860 AM and 106.5 FM with your host, Keith Parris.
All right, welcome back. Real quick,
I want to thank the pastors for doing this. You all are going to continue to hear us move this project forward for Milwaukee County. So we are looking for more churches who are interested. If you are interested to be a part of the first 10, we need to give me a call at 414-234-8160. And then when you do that, I'll explain a little more about our next steps. We will be doing a ribbon cutting ceremony in this summertime about this movement. And then we also have resources that you can get right now with Chanel Snowden.
Yeah, so if you're a family and you're caring for a loved one with dementia, we provide no cost training support for you guys. And we're looking for at least 10 more families to join our program. And you can enroll by calling 262-204-7836.
Their legacy?
Yes.
I put the good folks of Mellon in mind, and so let me thank Miss Chanel Snowden, Pastor Marlon Locke, Pastor Trayvon Sinclair, Dr. Bashir Easter. Let me thank also Congresswoman Gwen Moore. All of you have been part of our program today. The good Lord will and creek don't rise. Hope to talk to everybody tomorrow. And as always, go from this place in peace.
Father, open our eyes that we may see